Let's start the next extension of the challenge, that is control flow. In this stage, we'll add support for if statements in our interpreter. The if statement is used to condition. I hope you know what an if statement is. If you don't learn about coding, I don't know how I can help you with that. If you've come this far in this YouTube video, I think you should know what an if statement is. Anyways, this is what the code should look like. It can also support curly braces. They haven't, oh, they do show curly braces as well. So basically an if statement will take a block, and that is the reason why I separated the block creation from parsing when we were parsing the blocks in the last video. Let me show that to you again. So this block doesn't create an object of block. I create the object of block outside. So you will see where this block method will be used again. It will be used to parse the branches of if statements, right? So let's get to it. Let's update our context-free grammar. Let's add conditionals to our context-free grammar. Let's make it if statements, and what do we need to change? So you know, by the name of it, you can guess it's going to be a statement. We're going to add it to the statements if stmt, and an if statement is going to look like it's going to have an if. It's then going to be followed by a curly brace. After the curly brace, inside of the curly brace, I said, parentheses. Inside of the parentheses, there may be an expression, and the expression needs to be evaluated to be a truthy or a falsy. So, expression, and outside of this expression, we may have a simple expression statement, or we may have a block statement, and I can handle both of those cases with a statement, because we can have print statements there as well, and we can have if statements inside of if statements. So statement works. After this statement, our if statement may conditionally feature an else block. Else, and the else block again is followed by a statement, and it is optional because it's not necessary to always have an else block, so we'll make it optional. And this is the context-free grammar for an if statement. So we need to add this node to our AST, and as it's a statement, I will create an if class right here in the statements package. If. Now this if class, reading the context-free grammar, will have an expression, will have a statement, and then conditionally another statement for the else branch. So my if is going to have an expression, public final expression, and let's just call it condition. After this, I'm going to have a public final statement, and let's call it then branch, and we are also going to have an else branch. It needs to extend the statement class that we have, and we need to implement the methods. Instead of returning null, we should return visitor dot visit if statement with this. Let's create this method. Let's call it stmt, and we need to create a constructor. That's going to be our node of the AST. we have added this to a statement visitor. That means we need to update our interpreter. But before updating our interpreter, we should actually parse this expression, which is much more important. So an if is a statement, and according to our context tree grammar, it is in a statement. So we should start parsing if wherever we will start parsing print statement, and that's right here. So if we match current token to be an if, in that case we can start parsing the if statement. So I can simply return if statement. We'll create this method, and inside of this if statement, according to the context, let me just copy the context tree grammar, close this. So if we match the current, if we have already consumed this, all right, the next thing that we have in our list of tokens after the if is a parentheses. So let's consume it, and if there is no parentheses we should throw an error because it's expected. So let me copy the error that we need. After that, we should have an expression, and that is going to be the condition. Expression condition is equals to expression, and we should consume the right parentheses as well. Let me copy the error. This is the error that we need to throw in case there is no right parentheses. After that, we'll have the then branch of our if statement, and the then branch is simply another statement. Now it may be a block, or it may be a print statement, or it may be an expression statement, and that logic will be handled by this method, so we'll just call it. Now there is something interesting. Consider the following example. In this case, if we have if true and if true again, and after this if we have an else, which if does this if else belong to? We're not sure. All right, this is an ambiguity that we have in our context tree grammar, and we can get around it by eagerly looking for an else. So as soon as we hit an if, we'll start looking for an else as well. So you won't wait for there to be an else state match current token to be else and then look for an else statement. Instead, what we'll do is whenever we parse an if statement, we will eagerly look for an else, and if we find an else, we will add it to our if block, if statement. So we can do that by statement and else branch to be null, and then if I match the current token right here, we won't add it here, we'll add it right here eagerly. If we match an else, in that case I will add an else branch to the if statement, and that is else branch equal to statement, and after this I can return a new if, and to this if I'll pass the condition, the then branch, and the else branch. Now since we updated the statement visitor, we need to update the interpreter. So let's go to the interpreter and let's go up and implement the method that's required of us. So statement. Visiting an if statement is quite simple. All we need to do is actually just call the statement blocks that we have in the if. We just need to call the accept method on those. But there's something else that I want to do. I want to return, like for any block statement, we were returning the resultant value of the last statement. Similarly, for the if condition as well, I'm going to do the similar thing. Object result initially it's going to be null. Our condition, now this condition may be truthy or falsy, but I need to evaluate that. Condition equals to statement dot condition dot accept, and this, now we already have a method to check if something is truthy or not. It's truthy, and I will pass it the condition. If this condition is true, then result is equals to statement dot then branch dot accept this. If otherwise else, we will only call else branch dot accept if else branch is not null. So if stmt dot else branch not equal to null, in that case result equals to stmt dot else branch dot accept this, and right here I'm just going to return result, and think that's it. Let's try to run the code. Let's take an example. Let's put it in test.logs and let's run it. So I think it does work. Let's try and push it now. So we've also added else statements. So let's see if it works. And we'll have also handled else if statements. Why is that? Because uh, whenever we encounter an else, we're calling an a statement. Let me show that right here. We're calling a statement. Now the statement may be an if, so that else if will also be handled. Similarly, nested ifs are also handled, because when we call an if, when we see an if, that then branch is a statement, and the then branch itself may be an if. So we have if, and then inside the if we have a statement, then the statement may again be an if. So nested ifs are also handled. So 3 to 4 stages should pass after this. Let's try. So all the test cases pass. Let's try to run the next stage, which should also pass. Let's wait for it to run. In the meantime, let me push it to GitHub as well, so that you have the latest code as well. Okay, else ifs. Let's see if it works. It does. Let's go to nested ifs now. It works. All right, let's move on to the next thing. That's logical or and AND operators. So we'll handle that in the next video. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.